Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The 5 Years Before You Retire, Retirement Planning When You Need It the Most, by Emily Guy Birken. Narrated by Callie Beaulieu. Publisher's note: this audiobook is packaged with bonus material, which has been included on the first audio and MP3 CD. If you downloaded this audiobook in a digital format, please visit Tantor.com and type "The 5 Years Before You Retire" into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page, then click on PDF Extra 1. When prompted, enter the access code SAVINGS to access the bonus material. Introduction. So, here you are. You've worked for decades, squirreling money away, planning for that legendary time that is retirement. You're finally about 5 years away, close enough to it that you can practically taste it. And yet, you're worried. Do I have enough saved? What taxes will I have to pay? What, in my lifestyle, will I have to cut back? Should I sell the house and move somewhere cheaper? What happens if I get sick? Sure, you might have gone through the metric ton of retirement books out there. But every book you pick up seems to be geared towards someone other than you. Some are aimed at the 20 and 30-somethings who are just starting to save for retirement. Others are intended for retirees whose Social Security checks are insufficient and are trying to avoid living on cat food. But what about you? How can you find out what you need to do in these last few years before retirement to make sure your life, post-career, is financially comfortable and fulfilling? That's what this book is for. Rather than muddle through the myriad decisions you will have to make in the next few years, this book will help you to determine a clear, safe path. I'll guide you through the various choices available and explain the elements that make up a secure retirement. Over the next 13 chapters, I will go over every aspect of your upcoming retirement, including some issues that may not have occurred to you. In addition to discussing the dollars and cents of creating a sustainable retirement income, I'll lead you through the intricacies of finding the right financial planner and figuring out Social Security and Medicare, and explain how taxes will affect your retirement, estate planning, retirement living, health care, and budgeting. Why 5 years? Why 5 years out? Why not 10, 20, or for that matter, 1? Many books about retirement planning suggest that you start saving for retirement virtually from the moment you get a job. They point out that it's a far better problem to realize that you have more money than you expected upon retirement than too little. In general, they're right about this, but I can't help but think they're a bit unrealistic. Almost no one starts retirement planning when he or she is in his or her 20s. There are too many other things to consider at that point. You're at the beginning of your career, and you're probably starting to think about big, life-changing decisions, getting married, buying a house, having children, and so on. 5 years from retirement seems realistic to me because that's the point at which it really hits home to most people that they're actually going to retire in the foreseeable future. 5 years is also a good time frame, as this book will make clear, for accomplishing the various things you need to have done before you kick the dust of your workplace from your feet. How to use this book. This book is set up so that you can get a great deal out of it, whether you start at the beginning and listen through to the end, or you simply listen to a chapter here and there as you encounter various issues in your retirement planning. Each chapter offers you a checklist to help you apply the chapter's concepts to your own life. The next few years will be exciting ones as you start the transition from career to retirement. Don't let the choices you have to make paralyze you. With the information in this book, you'll be able to take a proactive role in your retirement and place yourself firmly in the driver's seat for the next chapter of your life. Part 1. The Nitty-Gritty of Retirement Finances. Chapter 1. How far away are you? A realistic definition of retirement. Retirement used to be a fairly simple proposition. After working 35 or 40 years for the same employer, your bosses gave you a gold-plated watch and a goodbye luncheon. You started spending your days at the golf course, enjoying the grandkids, or puttering around the house, all while collecting your pension and health care benefits from your loyal former employer. 50 years ago, that was the good news. The bad news was that most workers took retirement at age 65, and life expectancy for men was a mere 66.6 years of age, meaning that most retirees only enjoyed just over a year and a half of leisure. That's why companies were so willing to be generous with pensions and retirement benefits. They didn't expect to pay them for very long. While you can expect a longer and healthier retirement than your parents and grandparents might have enjoyed, your employer is also less likely to foot the bill. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of 2011, only 22% of workers in the private sector were offered a traditional defined benefit pension. With the 1978 introduction of Section 401(k) to the Internal Revenue Code, employers were given an option of helping their workers save for the future while putting the burden of saving and investing on the individual worker. This shifted the investment risk from the employer to the employee. The upside of this is that you have much more control over your retirement savings and income than ever before. Of course, you might have little to fall back on if the market takes a nosedive at the wrong time or if you didn't save enough. Contemplating 20 or 30 years of retirement without enough money is a pretty scary prospect and is the number one worry among soon-to-be retirees. Thankfully, this is not your father's retirement. You hold the reins when it comes to your investment and savings decisions, and you have the ability to return to work if necessary in order to keep both money concerns and boredom at bay. Where retirement might have once signaled the beginning of old age, it is now the next exciting chapter in your life. Getting ready for retirement in the next 5 years. Most people prefer not to think about how to handle retirement income. This is partially because any calculations on how much money you'll need for retirement requires an end date. Retirement income rule of thumb. Most retirement experts recommend replacing 80% of the value of your paycheck in order to maintain your lifestyle. Each year of your retirement, increase that amount by 3% to account for inflation. To make sure you're in a good position to start the transition from work to retirement, you'll need to figure out your monthly expenses, the amount of retirement income you can count on, including Social Security and any pensions you may be eligible for, the size of your retirement nest egg, and the effects of interest on your money. Chapter 2. Saving and Budgeting for the Next 5 Years. Maximizing your savings. Even if the shortfall amount that you came up with before feels depressingly high, remember that you have time to catch up. Not only do you have the 5 years between now and your retirement target date, but you also don't need to stop growing your nest egg when you end your career. Your investments can continue to grow and take advantage of the magic of compound interest, even when you are no longer working. If you plan to set aside some of your money to grow over the next 20 years, you can afford to invest in more aggressive investments that can offer potentially better rates of return. This asset allocation strategy is called the bucket method, and we'll discuss how it works in detail in Chapter 3. But even if you plan to strategically invest your money in such a way, it's smarter to save now to make up as much of your shortfall as possible. That's because any investment decision you make is based on educated guesses, since no one can know the future. You have to remember that you cannot control how the market performs over the next 5 to 30 years, but you have complete control over how much you save. If you are looking at a significant shortfall between where you are now and where you need to be in 5 years, Basically, if you need to save a great deal more than you otherwise would for each of the 5 years left in your career, then it's time to look for creative ways to put away extra cash. If the amount of money you need to put aside over the next 5 years rivals the GDP of an island nation, you might want to skip ahead to Chapter 13 if you don't have enough saved. If, however, you just need to beef up your savings somewhat, here are some tried-and-true methods for feeding the retirement piggy bank. 1. Get your employer's maximum contribution match on your 401k. Many employers offering defined contribution plans, the generic term for 401k and 403b plans, will provide employees with a contribution match up to a certain percentage of salary. While fewer employers offer this perk than they did prior to the recession of 2008, it pays to double-check with your Human Resources Department to see if 401k contribution matching is currently available. The number of companies that offer matching contributions to 401k plans dropped by 7% between 2010 and 2011, 5% the first year and 2% the second, making a grand total of 42% of American companies offering no matching program. However, the news is not all bad. As the economy has recovered, many employers are reinstating the matching program in an effort to attract and keep good employees. If you can take advantage of a matching program, the most common match gives you 50 cents for every dollar contributed, up to 6% of your salary. Some generous companies will match every dollar of your contribution up to 3 to 6%. Not maxing out this kind of matching program is akin to leaving free money on the table. 2. Make certain you are maximizing your retirement contributions. Both your employer-sponsored defined contribution plan, meaning your 401k, and your individual retirement account, IRA, have yearly contribution limits that you should strive to meet every year until you retire. The current contribution limits for 2013 are $17,500 for defined contribution plans and $5,500 for IRAs. These investment vehicles offer unique tax benefits that can help many investors do more with their money. In this section, I will be talking exclusively about traditional 401ks and IRAs. The Roth version of these retirement accounts offers different tax benefits, and I will discuss in details those differences and how to maximize them in Chapter 6, along with further details about the tax implications of traditional 401ks and IRAs. One of the biggest benefits of a traditional defined contribution plan and traditional IRA is their tax-deferred status. In both cases, you can deduct your contributions from your yearly taxes, thereby lowering your current tax burden, also described as funding your account with pre-tax dollars. This tax benefit can be a major boon for workers, especially those nearing retirement, as it can help free up more money in the budget to go toward the all-important retirement savings. You will, of course, eventually have to pay taxes on these accounts, although the money in both 401ks and IRAs grows tax-deferred, meaning you do not have to pay taxes when your account gains capital or earns dividend income. However, when you withdraw funds from your tax-deferred retirement account, you will owe ordinary income tax on your distribution, another word for withdrawal. Don't forget that there are income limits on who can deduct IRA contributions from their taxes. As of 2013, the deduction is on a sliding scale for single filers earning a yearly income of between $59,000 and $69,000, meaning it ranges from a full deduction of the entire contribution amount to no deduction. If you file as a single person and make more than $69,000, you cannot take advantage of the tax deduction. For married couples filing jointly, the range is between $95,000 and $115,000. No matter what your income, however, it's important to stay abreast of the contribution limits you may take advantage of each year. The limits go up for workers who have reached age 50, giving them an opportunity to catch up if they were not diligent about maximizing their contributions each year earlier in their careers. Currently, the over 50 crowd can contribute up to $23,000 a year to their 401ks and $6,500 to their IRAs, $5,500 and $1,000 more than their younger counterparts can contribute. In addition, the IRS readjusts both the general and catch-up contribution limits every few years. So make sure you are always completely funding these investment vehicles. This is an excellent way to prepare financially for retirement. 3. Reduce your expenses. Although every family's circumstances and budget are different, there are several money-saving options that are particularly attractive and doable for soon-to-be retirees. We'll explore many more ways to reduce expenses, as well as extreme money-saving moves, in Chapter 13. Downsize your home. The home where you raised your family may be full of wonderful memories, but it's probably larger than you currently need. Moving to a smaller home could also include a move to an area with lower property taxes. Empty nesters don't need to worry about good school districts anymore. In addition, any equity you get out of your home through such a sale could beef up your retirement savings. If you are still paying your mortgage, you can reduce your housing expenses through a refinance. Take in a roommate or boarder. Sharing your home is not just for college kids anymore. Splitting housing and utility expenses with an additional person can free up a great deal of money. While sharing your home may feel a little awkward at first, finding a roommate or boarder who is a good fit will not only improve your finances, but it can potentially add to your enjoyment. Even if the idea of a full-time roommate or boarder is not your cup of tea, you can consider renting out a room or part of your home to vacationers through such home-sharing sites as www.airbnb.com and www.vrbo.com. These sites allow you to post your home for short rentals, and if you live in an area of the country with a lot of tourism, this could become a nice additional income stream. Move to a less expensive area of the country. If you have a job that is portable and are willing to move to a less expensive area of the country, or even your state, you will find that your money goes much further. Become a one-car household. It's likely your parents made do with only one car while you were growing up, and you can certainly recreate that standard of living. Selling one car will potentially mean one less car payment, cheaper insurance, less maintenance, and less gas consumption. Reduce your restaurant and entertainment expenses. How often do you go out to eat each week? Do you pack a lunch each day, or do you head out for fast food or hit up the cafeteria in your workplace? Do you go to the movies every week? Do you have season tickets to your local baseball or football team? All of these expenses can be cut, and you'd be surprised to realize exactly how much money you could save by just cutting back on how you spend your fun money. 4. Start a second income stream. Doing this can be as traditional as finding a part-time job for your off hours. But it's good to remember that current technology has opened up worlds of income-producing activities that were not available to our parents and grandparents. Here are some ideas for adding income without exhausting yourself with a second job. Freelance writing for the Internet. Sites such as Elance, www.elance.com, and Demand Studios, www.create.demandstudios.com, make it easy to start freelancing with no prior experience. Blogging. Making money through writing and running your own blog is not going to be easy or quick. However, many individuals who have a passion for their blogging subject and a willingness to do the legwork to find advertisers can make a decent amount of money through blogging. If this is something you'd be interested in doing, check out the excellent website How I Make Money Blogging, www.howimakemoneyblogging.com, by personal finance blogger Crystal Stemberger. Selling crafts. The artist's marketplace Etsy.com has made it possible for every hobby knitter, quilter, painter, and bookbinder to find a market for their wares. Designing and selling T-shirts. If you have a good sense of design and can craft humorous or ironic phrases and logos, you can start your own T-shirt store at sites like Cafe Press, www.cafepress.com, and Spreadshirt, www.spreadshirt.com. Pet sitting or dog walking. If you love animals, offer to help your neighbors take care of their four-footed family members. Tutoring. If you know a subject cold, offer to tutor local high school and college students. Baking. Everybody loves fresh baked bread and cakes, and you can make money selling your baked goods for parties and meetings. Mystery shopping. Stores need mystery shoppers to check out customer service compliance. You get paid to shop at local stores and report your experience. Do be wary, however, since there are many mystery shopping scams out there. Double-check any mystery shopping offers with the Mystery Shopping Providers Association, www.mysteryshop.org. Sell your photography online. If you're an amateur photographer, you can sell your pictures online as stock photography at sites like Shutterstock, http://submit.shutterstock.com. It's also important to remember that you can find ways to extend the skills and knowledge you use day to day in your career to create a second income stream. Many professionals will find that they are in demand as consultants, both in their off hours before retirement and on occasion during retirement. No matter how you decide to bring in extra money, having enjoyable part-time work can help you make the psychological transition to retirement, as it can provide you with structure, mental stimulation, and further money-making opportunities once your career has ended. Ask the expert. Ryan Ganaw, finance blogger at Cash Money Life, www.cashmoneylife.com, agrees that saving for retirement should be one of the two big financial priorities for those nearing retirement. The other one is paying off consumer debt, as that will ensure that you keep all of your retirement income rather than owing some each month to a creditor. Ryan gives the following advice for making your retirement goals a reality. There are often competing financial goals to consider in the years leading up to retirement, such as paying off debt, paying for your child's college or wedding, and increasing retirement savings. While each financial situation is different, you can never go wrong with the two-pronged approach of eliminating debt and saving more for retirement. I would prioritize these as follows. Saving up to the employer match in a 401k plan, pension, or other employer-sponsored retirement plan. Eliminating consumer debt. Maxing out a Roth IRA. Maxing out your employer-sponsored retirement plan or plans. By completing these goals in the order that Ryan recommends, you will make the most of your money. Taking advantage of the employer match in your employer-sponsored plan means that you may have as much as doubled your money. Whatever consumer debt you have is probably charging you higher interest than you could earn through any investments, so eliminating all of your consumer debt will help your money go further and save you a great deal of money over time. If you have money left over, maxing out your IRA makes more sense, as there is a lower maximum threshold. Ryan also recommends having a Roth IRA for the purposes of tax diversification. That is, just as you want to make sure your assets reflect a diversity of investments, you will want your taxes to be due at various times so that you are not overwhelmed by paying taxes all at once. We'll cover this idea in more detail in Chapter 6. Finally, if you have covered the first 3 financial bases, go ahead and max out your employer-sponsored retirement plan. If you have limited funds for retirement planning, following Ryan's plan for your money is a smart way to decide where your money should go and when. For those individuals who have enough money left over after following Ryan's plan, there is still more you can do to get yourself set up for a comfortable retirement. Work on eliminating your mortgage, as housing costs are often the biggest living expense and should be minimized in retirement. Follow that up by making investments in taxable investment accounts, which are the only investments available to those individuals who have maxed out their 401ks and IRAs. If you can enter retirement with no consumer debt, maxed out tax-deferred and tax-free retirement accounts, no mortgage, and a few taxable investment accounts under your belt, then you'll be sitting pretty for the next stage of your life. Budgeting before retirement. That's great, you may be saying. Now I know I need to save more and max out my retirement accounts in the next 5 years. But how do I go about doing that? In a word, budgeting. Before you recoil in horror at the idea of keeping track of every dollar that passes through your hands, remember that creating, maintaining, and periodically tweaking your budget is a vital aspect of preparing for retirement. You may be able to get away with ignoring your money choices while you are working full-time and bringing home a good salary. But maintaining that same level of money ignorance as you prepare for retirement is a good way to ensure your plans and finances go off the rails. Knowing how you spend your money will allow you to make the decisions that make the difference between an enjoyable and well-funded retirement and learning to enjoy meals of crackers and ketchup. If you have never kept a budget before, now is the time to start, and you will find that it is a lot less painful than you may fear. We'll discuss in great detail in Chapter 11 how to create and maintain a household budget on a retired income. What I want to discuss here is how to construct a budget in the years prior to retirement. The main difference between the two budgets is that in a household budget, because you are still drawing a full-time salary, you have some wiggle room. Even if you do not calculate everything down to the penny, there's no need to really worry since you'll be getting your next paycheck within a couple of weeks. Because you can count on your income, you do not necessarily have to be precise with your finances. Retirees often refer to their fixed income. That's because there is a great deal less wiggle room when you simply cannot spend more than your monthly allotment. All that said, pre- and post-retirement budgeting does not have to be frightening. Budget basics. All any budget really does is track 2 things: where your money comes from and where it goes. It is then up to you to incorporate the budgeting action step. Spend less than you earn. Spending less is not difficult, since we all have expenses that we can easily do without or modify to be less expensive. But until you know exactly what you're bringing in and where it's going, it can be almost impossible to figure out where to cut your spending. So the start of the budgeting process is to determine your income and your outflow. Why I hate the latte factor. The latte factor was coined by David Bach, who points out that small, regular expenses add up to large amounts. For instance, if you buy a $5 cup of coffee 5 days a week, you are wasting $1,300 per year on coffee. While I have no quibble with Bach's math, I feel like it misses the point. People who spend $5 on coffee every day are probably not paying close attention to where any of their money goes. Cutting out small luxuries like this will not make a dent.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?